Hey everyone, Julian here. Today, going to be showing you how to make BEAU DIDIER style hard groove techno. As usual, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, the entire templates available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that and let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 140 BPM. First thing we got up here is the kick. Now, this is one of those hard groove bass lines where, you hear it in the whole track. You can hear it's moving around, but it's like when you hear it on its own, you realize there's a lot of motion, but it's actually pretty simple. So for the kick, we're just using this. This is called minimal kick. It really basically means this is a 909 kick that I worked with a little while ago. So I've got this, doing a little subcut, and a little overdrive blended on there to add some punch. You can see I got the dynamics all the way up. So we start with that, always start with the kick. And then for the bass line, what's happening is, it's this super bouncy rhythm, but it's very short. You can see it's only a half note. It's literally just that, and then it repeats. And that's how these tracks work, right? With hard groove and like tribal techno, all that kind of vibe. It's just very repetitive. It's like the sound of a half note loop just going over and over and over. And that's even in the bass line here. So as far as the notes here, you can look at this as C sharp minor. If you look at this right, but what we're doing is we got like the fifth down here. Right, you can see. And we're basically creating this insane bass line just bouncing around with that. Right, and then what's happening here is inside of operator, we've got a sine wave and then another sine wave. Doing a bit of FM, you can hear, it's honestly pretty similar to when you add this low pass, but then there's a low pass on that. A little subcut to get rid of, like I noticed with this type of hard groove, you really don't want the, you want your bass to be like up there, like obviously still in the low end, and because of the fact that nothing else in the mix has any low end, you're still gonna hear this. Right? It's like everything else fits around this, but you really want to cut a lot of that sub and make sure that it's not too like. Then we've got, this is being side chain to this little side chain up here. Then on the kick and bass group, we're just converting everything to mono at the end. Right? When you're doing all these subcuts, you definitely want to make sure you do that. Then we have the sort of main drums. And so what's happening here is we're creating these like main, right, like the main hi-hat, the main clap. We have these samples, right? This is from my Ultimate Hard Techno drum library. This is this DMX clap. What we're doing is then we're chopping little pieces out of loops, like I have this one, and layering those with the hits, right? So you get this like, it's almost like, even with these main drums, they get like very animated because it goes from this to this. Right? And of course, there's a lot of loops going on and stuff. Not as many as you'd probably think though, because you have this, already this with these layers is doing a lot. And then for the snare especially, like, so we got the clap, and then I've got this rave loop. Right, and so you can hear that just adds a lot of like a loop to it. And there you go, not a whole lot of processing required, just some good loops playing together over everything. Then we have some more percussion. So it starts here with this drum rack. So this is just a bit of bongos, right? But again, it's about that really repetitive hard groove loop. So now we're here. And then you add this. And see, it's adding a lot of groove to that. And since it's like kind of higher up there, sonically, it's going to fit really well with the other elements. Then we have this little chop loop. Right, so this is like this bongo loop, and then I've just taken a few pieces of it. You can see I actually chopped it up pretty intricately. The original loop sounded like this. Right, but again, it's like bringing in these live percussions and then making them very kind of tight and processed like this so that it'll fit with that techno groove. But yeah, and then if you play that with the other bongo, see, they just kind of make each other groove even more. So then we've got a few little loops down here to round out the drums. And I'll show you. So right now the drums are sounding like this without the loops. Pretty good, but it needs some flow in the high end and like some percussion. So then we add in these 3 loops. And there we go. So what's happening here is it's really just like very careful layering, right? You know, when you want to put together multiple drum loops over an already pretty busy loop, you just have to really listen to what's already happening. And then the loops are going to have to fit together, not only because they are doing all different things, right? Like all 3 of these are vastly different already, so they're going to fit together, but they also have to fit in what's already happening. So if you listen, it all comes together really nicely because everything else is so much in the mid-range and low end that this stuff is going to just sit right on top of it. And I really can't stress that enough because, you know, you guys hear these tracks and you probably think, wow, it sounds like it's a bunch of rave loops and a bunch of percussion. And it is, but it's like if you just went into it blind, just thinking I'm going to put together 10 drum loops and it's going to sound like this, you're going to be pretty confused when it doesn't sound like that. Then we have the stabs. So what's happening here is it's basically, it starts with this thing just going burr. I would always start with that. Just find a stab and put it at the start of every bar. You can see it's just every time that loop resets. Just constantly, right? And you're going to have this thing going burr, or maybe it's like this, you know? Maybe it's like, right? It could be that. Whatever you find. And then you can take these other stabs here and make those bounce off of that. And it's all about, you have to start with the one that's just going to be burnt, that's like constantly going. And then you can come up with some kind of a groove with these. And also, this is why I showed you these last, is like, you definitely want to have this drum groove going when you make these, or make the drum groove to go with these, because it's like, you know, these aren't just like randomly placed in these 16th notes. This is like a very carefully, like, this is a result of sitting there and trying, okay, let's see how, you know, that works. Oh, it doesn't groove quite as well. Okay, let's move it back 1/16th note. Oh, now it works. You know, it's like you really have to sit there with those tiny details and just find what's going to fit in really well with your groove. It's not too much about like, oh, I have this cool sample pack that no one has or something like that. Even if you have that, it's like this very careful attention to detail with how all this stuff is fitting together. For this group, we've got, so it's this little stab, which is actually really similar to the main horn stabs. So you see they fit together well. Like it kind of sounds like it's going into that really well. Plus this one, which is just almost like some, you know, breath, like a. Then on the group, we got a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb, and then we're side chaining it. And there we are. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. If you want to see more Hard Groove, definitely let me know. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Definitely make sure to go grab this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, the entire template on my website. Link right at the top of the description. You know, for just $5, you get a really, really great, high-quality Hard Groove template. You could use this and honestly make a whole EP and send it to any label you want and probably make some pretty solid stuff. You know, this is a really great foundation to build on. Links at the top of the description. Don't miss out, guys. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.